Thank you so much, Jörn. I hope everybody can see my screen and my introduction slide. So you already did the introduction, Jörn. Thanks for that. So that saves me some time. Yeah, and so I have a lot of experience, or at least 8 years experience in implementing CPQ solutions. So Jörn already mentioned Sofon, DriveWorks, and Tacton are mainly where I worked for, and most of the years I worked for Tacton CPQ, and I did there I was in the role as an implementation consultant and also trained the customer. And since Configit since last year, January. So yeah, we talk about how to enhance the C here of our CPQ system. So I'm really excited to talk about this topic because I already worked for a long time with CPQ systems. So I'm very excited to also share my knowledge and share my experience on this topic. So my agenda would be as followed. So I first want to focus a bit on what are the challenges with existing CPQ systems we have, and so I will discuss a bit what we also hear from our customers and our potential customers. What issues do they have these days? And I'm always also want to focus a bit on what trends in manufacturing and product configuration are responsible for these challenges we now have, and what does it cost? I'm an engineer. I have an engineering background, so I'm always curious to know how things, what does it cost? What does these challenges cost? So important trends. Then I want to focus a little bit on about the IT landscape in combination with the CPQ system, and how it also is changed over time. So I use here a fictional company X, for example, and I will show you just an example of an IT architecture landscape and how it has changed with the CPQ system. And of course, at the end, I would really like to share my thoughts and, of course, what a new approach would be with a configuration platform, configuration lifecycle platform. That's what the Tech Talk is about. So first, have a look to the challenges with the existing CPQ system. So I will just share with you a few quotes. This is one of them. Sometimes I have to wait over 1 minute for the configurator to proceed to the next phase. Well, this has anything to do with performance, of course. The reason I put this on top, because this is what we hear a lot of times. Performance these days with CPQ systems, it's a really big problem. And also for next one, can I trust the data on my quote? Well, this has anything to do with, we try now to integrate our CPQ system to a lot of other systems, but it's not always integrated that properly. So that's always, can I trust the data I see on my quote, for example? And the entire company heavily relies on the CPQ system. What if something will happen to this system? What I mean with this one is when we look to the CPQ system, they have so many functionalities and they incorporate a lot of functionalities on these systems. So they're very large. So what if something happened? What will be the consequence? Important thing. And what if we want to integrate a configurator to a company website or to other tools? It's a very complex task requiring extensive customization. So I will also want to discuss how we can make a more scalable and flexible solution. Manufacturing is complaining, again, that sales sold something that cannot be produced, that has anything to do with not having a single source, of not having a shared definition of what is our product exactly. So how can we get a single source of configuration truth? And the last one, modifying or adding options to the configurator model is a time-consuming and complex task. So this has anything to do when customers or companies want to create new options for their product model and how to do that without updating it in many different kind of systems. So the question here, I think a lot of people recognize at least some of these challenges we have. And of course, we want to know why do we have these challenges and what is the cause of all these challenges? Well, if you look on the internet or read a lot about this, you see a lot of trends these days when we talk about the quick development of the technology. But I think for this tech talk, I think we should discuss the following trends. And the first one is the increased product complexity. Yeah, so that's a very important thing. So at first, but the next one is the hyper personalization. And then we maybe think of personalization is more a consumer thing, but it's also what we see in organizations that we more and more want to personalize. And of course, and this is more a result of the first two challenges or first two trends, is the increased IT landscape complexity. So first of all, the product complexity. And when we look to the products these days, but also look to consumer products, I really want to talk about this Internet of Things, because if we look to products and when you look to manufacturing and see what they produce for kind of product, they all want to that it's connected to the internet. So we see an increased connectivity, and we just because we want to remote control our products, but we also see it in our homes, right? So I have also here some climate systems, for example, and a few weeks ago I tried to connect these climate systems to my humidity sensor. So they are turning on. I have a humidity device, so it turns automatically on when a sensor detects a low humidity, for example. So we put a lot of sensors in our products these days, but also it's very interesting because we can have a lot of interesting. We can do a lot of interesting data analytics on these, based on this data. And when we talk about CPQ, we talk about configuration, of course. We also talk about bill of materials. We see bill of materials, of course, around in the whole organization. At sales, but also manufacturing bill of materials. And when we look to, if we talk about increased product complexity, and we look to the bill of materials, in the beginning, the products consist mainly about mechanical and electronic components, but after some time, these bill of materials also getting more and more complex. We now put also a lot of software in these products, but also a lot of service components. Like we want also to offer some spare part packages, or we want to think all different kinds of service parts where you can think of. And this is a very important thing because bill of materials we see in the whole organization. So we need to create bill of materials in order to create, for example, manufacturing bill of material or a service bill of material. And if we also think of, if we see some parts, and if we also think we have a lot of variants for each part, then it became more and more complex. And hyper-personalization, and then I always say that, so the more we can do with our technology, the more we can do with our products, the more we expect, right? So the more also we want to personalize our product to our needs. So, and I always like to, a few weeks or a few months ago, I also configured my IKEA closet. So it's very cool what you can do now. And just in 3D visualization, you can just configure your whole closet and you can add things to it, drag and drop. So, but that's now also my expectation. I can do that. And the same we have with cars, right? So we have car configurators. But now we think it's only for the consuming industry, for the consumer, but it's actually also, when we talk about service departments, they also now want to have more predictive maintenance. So we put our products full of sensors and we get a lot of data out of these products. So we can now have a fully customized service agreement, for example, for a customer based on all this data we get from our products. We see it, of course, in manufacturing. It's also more smart, and also in the supply chain, it's where we also see a lot of optimization. So we all want to have this these days. Then the question, when we go back to the CPQ topic, of course, how to enhance our C, then the question I really get often from customers is, can my current CPQ system or an advanced one handle these complexities that come with these trends? And that's, I think, one of the most important questions we now talk about, because they just want to know, should I buy a new CPQ system? Should I think of something totally else? Or that's it. So, and I was thinking to answer this question, I think it's nice, instead of having some boring slides, to just have a look into an example IT architecture from company X and see how the architecture has changed over time. So let's do that. So in the early days, when we talk about IT landscape, then this company X had a CRM system, the marketing, and the red person you see here, he has access to the CRM system. He was able to create some opportunities. He was able to maintain the account data. And when he wants to create a quotation, you go to a CPQ system, and there we of course have the configurator. And that's what I mentioned with how I showed is like this symbol, configurator. And when we talk about the configurator, we also have the product rules, the logic, and we have the product features, like all the options you can select and things like that. So next, he also wants to configure. He wants to create a quotation with the quote generator, which is inside. And the account data, they're more or less integrated to the CRM system. It could also be a manual intervention between to update this data. And on the other side of the IT, we see we have an ERP system, which is of course responsible to handle all the customer orders, maintaining all the pricing and maintaining the materials of our products. And of course, in the CPQ system, we also need pricing. So in the early days, and then I talk about 20, 30 years ago, we were able to make an export from these prices, put it in an Excel list, and we were able to import this in a CPQ system. And then on the manufacturing side, we have to do with, we call it 150% manufacturing BOMs, very large BOMs, where we need to make selections based on what product we sold in order to create a 100% manufacturing BOM. And that was also some time ago was just a manual action, and I still see that it is still a manual action for just to do the BOM solving for manufacturing. And for the service BOM, it's actually the same. There's always something, and we make the selections. Okay, this order, we need to have this and this product. Then we have, of course, the engineering department. We're using two systems most of the times, at least in this case for this company X. They have a PLM system and they have a CAD system. And the CAD system, they have someone who creates the drawings. And if the sales guy wants to have a more customized product, or he wants to have a drawing for a quotation, there's also manual intervention with the engineer who's creating a drawing for him. And PLM system with the PLM and an engineer R&D, they are responsible for creating the engineering BOMs. So the full BOM included all manuals and parts, manufacturing parts. So when he created a new product, he makes sure that the materials in the ERP system are up to date. So what we see in this picture is a lot of manual interventions, and that was okay because the product was not that complex, and it was okay to do it like this. But then, something changed, of course, because the increased product complexity. One thing, we also sometimes had a web shop for the on-shelf products to just give the customers the option to order their products on the web shop, but it was not connected, it was not configured, it was just to order. So then after some years, the product complexity increases, and what we see also that when we look to the CPQ system and CRM is that there is a lot of, that we could already integrate this very well. So CPQ and CRM are more or less one product these days. But what we also saw in the CPQ systems, they started of course small, but they also now incorporate a lot of extra functionalities. And that's what I make it visible here. So they're not focusing only on the configure price quote. No, they're also focusing, for example, on business analytics or the creation of manuals, instruction manuals, which is, I think, more a part of an engineering service, because they also want to offer service products to their customers. So service is also a part in the CPQ system. 3D visuals, so a lot of things. But I think the most important thing what we see here, and what we also see is that the product complexity increases, is that, and the integration between, we're able now to integrate pricing, for example, with the ERP. So we create some automatic integrations, and also for the orders, we succeed in just creating a button so we can create an order based on a quotation. But then products began to become more complex. So what we see is that the configurator engine of CPQ system, and that is what I also discussed in the beginning, we had a lot of performance issues. So we see that many CPQ systems these days are struggling with the performance. Because even a simple product model, and it looks simple, it's already quite complex because CPQ systems already want to involve a lot of departments in it, like servers. So even a simple model started already being very, very complex. And this is also something, of course, manufacturing servers also realize, and they also started to realize that we cannot let the CPQ system do anything, right? When we talk, for example, about creating 100% manufacturing BOM and service BOMs, which is actually also a way of configuration. So what happened? They started to, because of that, they started to creating their own configurators, because the traditional CPQ platforms, they face significant challenges in being agnostic. They claim to be agnostic because they can integrate to a lot of systems, but they're still failing in being agnostic and talk the same languages of the different departments. CPQ is actually still a sales tool, and I think that that's something we need to realize. So what happened? More configurators started to arise in these organizations. So, for example, manufacturing has its own configurator to creating manufacturing bill of materials, and also service. And this could also be a separate tool, but I now put it in the ERP system. Also started to have their own configurator to create the 100% sales forms. Also in the PLM system, they also created. They also started to create configurators to increase the efficiency of developing new products. And also we see a lot of CPQ systems, they say we can integrate to the CAD system, but we force actually to engineering to make the product models in a CPQ environment so that sales can create the technical drawings for the quotations. But it's more a sales interest. And so we also need to include CAD rules in the CPQs. And so again, performance is still a big issue. So this is one thing. The other thing is that what we also see is that a lot of new tools, a lot of new applications, and also when we see all the things what AI can do, we see a lot of applications starting, a growing number of applications in organizations, like a business analytics tool, a dealer portal, a web shop, sometimes also with their own configurator and their own data, which belongs to the configurator. We see these days companies want to have a website configurator, a nice visual website configurator with 3D visualizations, you name it. And that's also what they want to have. So they started to integrate this all together to the different systems. And what we see now is, and sometimes we call this an API explosion, when you have a lot of different applications which are all required to connect it to each other. And what we see that a lot of companies are now losing the overview in what do we have and how do the integrations work and what is connected to what. That's a real problem too. But this is one problem, but maybe the biggest problems of all is when we look to the different configurators and we look to the data which we need for the configurators, like the product features, the product rules, and things like that, that's maybe the biggest problem. So, and also when we look to the challenge, how do we maintain, how do we add new products to our configurator system? And so the question is, when we talk about the question, should we have a more advanced CPQ or should we have something else? Yeah, I think we can already answer the question a bit. So should we really focus on a CPQ system and try to integrate all these different configurators to the CPQ system? Do we really believe that the CPQ system is agnostic enough to understand all the challenges of the other departments we have? Or should we be more focused on the full picture? So should we be more focused on a system where we say, okay, because I think we all agree a bit that we need to have a system which can manage all these configurators and also this data. So the last part of this technical is, of course, what should be our new approach? And I would really like to share you what my idea is and our idea from Configit. What is the idea approach for this one? And I think we all agree that we need to have at least a system which is agnostic, which can understand all the other departments, which speak the same language. So just start with the configuration platform. I think we all agree to that. And next to that, we need to have a platform with a very strong configurator, because if we want to incorporate all the complexities of also the other departments in one platform, yeah, we need to have at least a very intelligent configurator engine to handle this complexity. And next, I told it, we need to be agnostic. We need to have one system which can be easily integrated to different departments, which speaks the same language. That's now exactly what traditional CPQ systems are very challenging for the existing CPQ systems. That, yeah, they try to incorporate all the functionalities, but you see, there's a reason that a lot of configurators are arising, because CPQ systems cannot handle all these complexities. So we need to have have a platform which is agnostic. Of course, we need to have on this platform a storage for the logic and data for the configuration. So feature library, rules, splicing, a sales BOM or engineer or manufacturing generator, and a verify unit. That's a unit which can analyze our data. So that's what we need. And we need to have strong APIs, right? Easy to understand, but strong APIs, which makes this data available for a lot of systems. So let's put these systems around. Oh yeah, sorry, and I forgot, of course, this what we call the configuration lifecycle management platform, and we can offer the customers with Configit ACE in combination with our VT technology. So let's put the systems again around this circle, and let's first focus on the CPQ. So one scenario for this customer X would be that he will put their product rules and features into this platform. So from now, they start maintaining their product models from this Configit ACE configuration platform. And the pricing, we will synchronize the pricing with the ERP, and we will put the pricing in the CPQ, so that's also synchronized by using the APIs. And the configurator engine, we will replace this, because we won't use this configurator engine on CPQ platform anymore. We will use instead the configurator engine of ACE. So to do that, we use a configurator UI, and so we embed more or less our engine into a CPQ. And how that looks like, I would like to show you a video, because we already did it with Salesforce CPQ. So here in Salesforce CPQ, you see this is Salesforce environment. So we go to the quotation lines, and in these quotation lines, we can add products. And what we see here is actually the products we developed on the ACE platform, and we make them visible in Salesforce CPQ. We can select them, and what you see now is an embedded configurator UI. And actually, we're now more on the ACE platform, on the configuration platform, and configuring our product. That's what we're doing here. So one example to do this. And I think, and this is Salesforce CPQ has also the service, so bring your own C. So that's, I hope, what we will see more in the future, that we have also applications where you are able to bring your own configuration to the system. And what we then have PLM systems, so we can also have a more hybrid solution. So what we also did for customers is that customers still want to maintain their data on the systems they used to work with. So what we can also do is a kind of a solution where we make sure we synchronize the logic and the features with the configuration platform. We also introduce the configurator UI, so if they want to configure, they can use the engine of configurators. Dealer portal same, we can use the configurator UI. Webshop the same. And maybe you remember the analytics tool in the previous slide. It has so many connections to different systems because companies want to make decisions based on accurate data. So they need to collect a lot of data when it comes to configuration from different systems. When we have one configuration platform, it's not required, right? We can just connect it to the verify unit of our configuration platform. And we have a visual website configurator. We can also use the configurator UI and build an UI out of it. And we also get rid of the visualization and CPQ, so we can have a separate visualization engine, third party. So I think most important what we see here is that we can have a more agile CPQ. We are more flexible in creating and in adding third-party systems by integrating them to a configuration platform. We don't need to put them all in one platform. And the ERP, we can just put our rules into the ACE platform. We can decide, okay, we want to still maintain the features of the ERP platform. And what we also do is bringing the 150% BOM to the configuration platform, and we make sure that ACE will create the manufacturing BOMs. Here's a tech talk. We already have a tech talk, which from my colleague, Rasmus, he is explaining how this BOM works. So just have a look on the website. And then we can get rid of the configurator in the ERP because we're doing the BOM solving on the ACE platform. This was the last slide. So almost last slide. The last slide is the summary. So I hope this is clear what I mean. The summary is, so yeah, just I want to highlight. So the growing complexity of products, along with our high personalization, they compel us to reconsider the role of CPQ system. And that's, I think, one important message. We see how many challenges the traditional CPQ system face in being agnostic. I think that's the most important what I see here is that CPQ systems has difficulties in being agnostic and understanding and talk the same language to the other system. And don't get me wrong, CPQs are very important still, but we should create them more agile. And I hope there will be more CPQ systems where we can bring our own C. And the increasing number of configuration tools, analytics tools, and smart AI applications, they created a greater need for a centralized configuration platform. But I hope it was clear what I showed you. So an agnostic and flexible platform, configuration platform, yeah, offers a solution, that's it. And yeah, we would like to continue using existing tools by leveraging embedded configuration UI. So I hope that more systems will come where you can bring your own C.
So I summarize this a bit. This person finds the configuration lifecycle management approach interesting, and basically the question is where to start. So there might be a lot of individual situations in the companies out there. But if you would have a go on that question.
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, where to start, because it's not just something to implement in configuration platform. So I would always start with where is your most significant pain at this moment in the organization. So I think the first step would be, of course, to introduce this configuration platform, but it's not necessarily needed to change everything, like a big bang approach. So start with where the pain is most significant. And what we also see sometimes, we have a lot of SAP customers, they're already using configuration models, and we are also able to run these SAP models, configuration models, in ACE, so they can. So they don't want to migrate from one to the other moment to ACE fully. So we can also work in parallel. So first they can still using SAP models, and in the meantime we can create our ACE models, for example. So yeah, it's a very general question, a very general answer. So we need to have a more deep dive, I think, if you want to make a more customized advice, I would say.
Sure, but it makes a lot of sense what you said. It's also a quite general question. Yeah, this is all the time we have for today.